Welcome back to another live stream, guys. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about designs and specifically creating designs for Spreadshop. We get a lot of questions, simple questions about what exactly are the best specs, issues people are having with uploading designs. And I'm going to try to go over some of those today and just try to alleviate any questions you guys might have when you're creating designs for Spreadshop. And as I go into depth here, feel free to ask any questions about issues you may have with designs or anything about Spreadshop in general. And I'll do my best to try to help you guys out. But we're going to walk through a general layout for designing and stuff like that, for canvases, best practices, and try to give you a better idea about what you're looking at when you're creating design and uploading one to Spreadshop. So I'm going to jump over real quick. This is what we're looking at right now is Spreadshop. This is the actual design page on your Spreadshop. And so to upload designs, just real quickly, you're going to go down to the second tab here where it says designs. And right here is where you're going to upload all your designs. And so we actually have a bunch up here already. We've been uploading over the last several weeks as we've been doing live. So I've actually been creating designs live here on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And we have a bunch up here already that are optimized for Spreadshop. But I want to make sure that you guys understand what you're doing on your end when you're uploading your own designs so they can be optimized for Spreadshop as well. So let's go ahead and jump over. We'll start with Photoshop. If you guys aren't familiar with Photoshop, it is a pixel-based program. So let me take a look at that real quick. Here's just Photoshop. And so I'm going to open up a new file here. Generally, when you're creating a file for Spreadshop, you can create either what I suggest is 3000 at 3000 at 200 dpi or 4000 by 4000 at 300 dpi. So we'll go with the larger file size today. So let's go ahead and we want to create this. So our width is going to be in pixels and our height as well. So it's going to be 4000 by 4000. And the resolution, we're going to make sure to set that at 300. And that's one of the most important parts here is going to be your resolution. Obviously, your size of your designs is important too, but one of the biggest issues we always run into that people aren't realizing is that the design they're uploading, the resolution is too low. So let's go ahead and hit create. And so we have our canvas here. And just so you guys understand what we're looking at here, the canvas consists of basically two parts here when you first look at it here. You have your white background that you can have on by default. And then behind that is your actual transparent checkerboard background. So if we go over to our panel here on the right, we can turn that layer visibility off. And then we can turn this from a background. And then here is our checkerboard background, which I'll zoom in on that so you guys can see it a little bit more clearly, is what indicates that your design is on a transparent background, which is ultimately what you're going to want when you export your design. And then the next trickiest part is when you're exporting your design, that the design is actually saved out at a file that actually supports transparency. So you can go through all this trouble of making sure your design's on a transparent background. And when you go to export it, you'll notice the design suddenly has a white background again. That's simply because the file format that you save your design as does not support transparency. So it's important to pick file sizes or file types that support transparency. So let's go ahead and start with the design that we already have created, and I kind of show you how that looks and some do's and don'ts, and just kind of give you a better idea of some issues you might be running into when you're uploading your design. So here we have design here. And the first thing that's important here is that the size is sized to the max specs of that 4000 by 4000 dpi, depending on which size hits the max spec first. So in this case, this design's a little bit wider than it is high. So we have a little bit left over on the top and the bottom, which is fine. In Photoshop and a lot of photo editing programs, you could trim that canvas now so that we can fit it at the size of the design. If I uploaded this design to Spreadshop right now at the size it's at, it would include this area at the top. So it would basically upload exactly at this size. So for those who don't use Photoshop, the canvas size is basically like the placeholder for your design, and then the design sits in that canvas. So you're gonna make sure your canvas, like I said, is on a transparent background, and then ideally we're going to trim this canvas to fit the exact size of this design before we upload it to Spreadshop. Otherwise, said it's going to include that background canvas size as part of the design when you upload it. So you want to make sure that you have as much room as possible that's closest to your design. And the easy way to do that in Photoshop is to go up to Image, Trim. And it's going to give you the option to trim transparent pixels. And as soon as I hit that, hit OK. And you can see that it has trimmed the canvas to fit perfectly to that design. And we can check the actual image size. And we can see that the width is 4,000 pixels and a resolution is 300. And all it did was is pull the height down to the size of the design. But our max spec of 4,000, which is what we want, is still there. So we're good to go. So what you will normally run into is people will download images from Google, for example, or some online website. And most online images actually are at 72 dpi. So let me see if I can find a random image for you real quick on Google, just to actually do this live with you guys, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So if we go to Google real quick, and I'll just type in design, t-shirt design. And I'll go to images. And let's just grab random design here real quick. And I'm going to save that to my desktop. And then I'll pull that into Photoshop. One second. Of course, I'm gonna grab another design here instead. So we're just looking for a random image on the internet right now, just to kind of show you some of the issues you might run into. All right, there we go, got a good one. And let's open that up as a new file. Just gonna pull this to the top. So here's our image that we just grabbed off the internet. Let me zoom in on that real quick. And so this is just a random design that I found really quickly with a quick Google search. And this is what a lot of people will do, is they'll grab a design and they'll download it from the internet and they'll upload it to Spreadshop and wonder why they run into issues. And that's simply because most designs on image search are going to be 72 dpi and they're also going to be low resolution. And when you upload to Spreadshop, it'll recognize that, and so it'll limit the design size because it's too small. So if we actually look at the image size of the design I just downloaded real quick, it's actually a perfect example here. Is you can see the resolution is only at 72, and our image size is super small. It's at pixels right now, but to give you some relevance size-wise, that's only about 5 inches as far as the actual size, and it's on a background image. It has a color behind the image, so I would actually have to remove that too, or else it's going to upload that background color as well behind the design. So that design would need a lot of work before it would actually work on a t-shirt. So that's why we have the actual example over here of a design that's currently on a transparent background. Like I said before, this checkerboard background will actually show you that it is on a transparent background. And if we again pull up the specs of this design, we're at 4,000 pixels, which is much larger than what we were looking at before. So that's about 13 inches at 300 dpi is what we're looking at. It's just to give you a better idea as far as sizing. And the biggest thing I said is the resolution here is you can really start to see the quality of the design. And that's basically what happens is when we actually send these designs to print, we want to make sure that you're getting the best quality on your t-shirts. And if you're uploading images from Google search, you're going to be getting these pixelated, smaller designs. Whereas like this design you can see is crisp and really will print well on a t-shirt because it's actually made for that sizing. So ideally, when you're uploading designs like this, you're optimizing it for print. So if you had a design like this, for example, so let's just grab another design. So I'll just grab kind of a circular design that's similar. And so we have a text-based design here, but again, it has a lot of the same flourishes that were in the other design. And to give you an example, the sizing for the other design, so if we actually change the size here, so this one's going to be, so if we go down to inches here, so that was only like 5 inches and 72 dpi, just to show you how much smaller that design actually is. So let's go ahead and save this design real quick. So I'll even try to save it optimized somewhat, but like I said, you need to make sure that when you're saving a design that you're saving it with something that actually supports transparency. But I'm giving you guys the worst case scenario right now to show you, like, if you're uploading design like this to Spreadshop, this might be one of the issues you're running into yourself. So like I said, the file format that you normally want to save a design at from Photoshop, for example, is a PNG graphic. PNG graphics do support transparency, so that's ideal. Like I said, we're going to go worst case scenario. So let's say you save it as a JPEG, and let's go ahead and save that really quickly here, and I'll save it to the digital artist designs folder here. And actually, let's do a save as copy here. Let's go to regular JPEG and save that in that folder. And we'll actually call that bad. This is what we would not want to do. Save that. We even optimize the image size. And so now I'll show you guys real quick. We're going to do that, and then I'm going to upload a optimized version of that design. So like I said, we're going with the size specs today. We're going to have this be 4,000 pixels at 300 dpi. So this is that same design that I'm uploading. So I'm going to show you the best case and worst case scenario of this same design. So I'm going to save this design out now. I'm going to save that as a PNG graphic. We'll call this one the good one. And we'll save that in the same folder. And now I'll upload both those to Spreadshop so that you guys can see on your end some issues that you might be running into while you're uploading designs. So if I go back again now to Spreadshop, so let me hop back real quick. And now I'm going to grab one of those designs. And so we'll start with the bad one. And then we'll upload the good one while we're at it. Give that a moment to process. But while it does that, we can jump over to the bad one and start showing you examples of that. So I'm going to select that design that I uploaded, pretend like I'm going to add it to a shop, and then take a look at that on an actual product. So first off, you can see how small it is, which is not great, but okay, we want to resize it then because we want it to fit it the better size of the shirt. But as soon as we go to do that, it's going to say that your resolution of your design is too low to enlarge further. Reduce the size of the design or upload it to a high resolution, then try again, which is solid advice. So basically, we uploaded the design. Not only was it too small, the resolution we uploaded at it was too small. So we're going to get a low quality design. We're not going to be able to enlarge it on this shirt. and we uploaded it as a JPEG. So JPEGs, like I mentioned before, do not support transparency. So we actually got that white border back on our design again. So it's something else we don't want to actually show up on the t-shirt. Said we should have saved it out at a file type that supports transparency. Also, while making sure the design is on a transparent background when we're saving it out. So simply just saving it as a PNG graphic isn't going to do that. You need to make sure that your design does not have a background color behind it in order to save it out without that background color. So obviously not what we want to have on a t-shirt. And then so that's what the issues we're running into. So we're probably confused. We downloaded this image from Google, for example. It could be a case scenario. And now it's not working the way we want on our product. So now we're having issues. So let's go back to the other design. So this is the optimized version. And this is the good version. And so that was 4000 by 4000 at 300 dpi on a transparent background, saved out as a file type PNG graphic that supports transparency. So if we select that graphic now, and again, act like we're going to add it to a Spreadshop. And let's select a product again. And let's put it on a lighter color product real quick so you can see. Now you can not only see immediately the design is much larger, we also have the option to adjust that design to fit the entirety of the print area. And so I can drag that all the way up to the very edge here and all the way down as well as far as how small I actually want to make that design. And so we have all the options as far as where we want to place that design. We can move it around, and it's on a transparent background. So what's nice is, like I said, only the things that are going to show through in that transparent background are the colors of the t-shirt colors. So if we just put it on whatever, so you can kind of see how that transparency works, where it actually will be the color of the t-shirt that shows up underneath that design. Whereas opposed to, like I said, the other one, which obviously was the bad one, we actually have that so that it's on a, actually has this background color as well as being too low of resolution. So we're going to lose a lot of quality there. And so that might be something you're running into on your end. And that's just kind of giving you guys a better idea as far as what you might be running into on your end when you're uploading design and wondering why it's happening. Because if you grabbed your image from Google and you simply downloaded it and uploaded it to Spreadshop and you're wondering why it's not at the right resolution, this is what you're going to need to do. Now, if someone hands you a low resolution image and you're wanting to use that on Spreadshop still, you're going to need to take it into some type of photo editing program before you upload it to try to get it as high resolution as you can. I'd say as low as 200 dpi and at least around 15 inches as far as size. Because if you do anything smaller than that, you're going to run into issues with print size. And as I go through this, guys, I know it's a lot to digest all at once. But if you have any questions about design issues you may run into or anything about designs, feel free to ask during this live stream, and I'll do my best to try to help you guys out. But yeah, that's some good breakdowns as far as issues you might be running into. If you guys have run into any other issues with designs and you need help, please comment on this video. After this live stream is done, if you go to the live tab on our YouTube channel, this video will still be there. And then you can simply go in here and ask me any questions about design issues you might be running into yourself. It's one of the most common questions we get. I understand that it can be complicated, especially if it's something you've started doing for the first time. And we want to make that as easy as possible for you guys to make sure that you're uploading designs at the best quality so that you can make sure that you're getting the best quality print and that you're happy with the full experience where you are actually selling and ordering your own prints. But hopefully that answered some questions. That's just a small portion of what, as far as design, but that hopefully gives you some better idea as far as what you're looking at. Like I said, this background color here needs to be the checkerboard background, which is transparent, saving it out at a file type that actually supports transparency. And we have a few other ones that do support transparency. In fact, if you go back to Spreadshop, we do our best to try to give you as much information here as possible. But if you go up to this upload designs here, here's the file types that we actually do support. We do support JPEGs. A use for a JPEG might be, say, you're uploading just a family photo that you took on your phone or your camera, and you want to print that on a shirt. So that'd be fine to have as a JPEG because it's basically going to be a rectangular image anyway. It's not going to need any transparency behind it. So it would just be the full resolution of that image. PNG, like I said, is the one I suggest to you the most often because that's the one that is optimized for transparency and also just a really efficient file type. You can upload GIFs. It's up to you. There's no real case to use a GIF over a PNG, but you can if you'd like. SVG and AI are both going to be things coming from vector-based programs. So you can upload those files directly, but if you're having any issues with those, so for example, let me pull up an Illustrator document real quick to show you guys. So here is a design in Illustrator. So this is a vector-based program. In fact, if I turn this to outlines, you can kind of see that a little bit better, that it's all vector points throughout the entirety of this design. And so I could, in theory, do something similar to what I did with Photoshop and set this to design to around 15 inches. And then save that out. But what we want to do is make sure that Illustrator is a little bit different. It still has canvases, but the canvases are more or less known as artboards. So we want to make sure to have the artboard centered on this design. So we select the design. The easiest way to do that, and go up to Object, go down to Artboards, say Fit to Selected Art, and there's the artboard around that. So it's selecting only that file on this large canvas, so that I'll make sure that I'm not exporting anything else. And we can go up to File, Export As, and we can export that as a PNG as well. The tricky part here is to make sure you're selecting Use Artboards here, so you're only exporting that small part of that file that you want. Then if I go to Export, there's my file, and I can choose the resolution I want here as well. 200 to 300 dpi, that is ideal. And then we can export that file as a PNG graphic just like we did in Photoshop. Or if you'd like, you can still export this file as an Illustrator document and upload that to your Spreadshop as well. Sometimes people accidentally leave things in the Illustrator document that they didn't mean to, and it might cause issues with uploads. That's why sometimes I suggest just to export as a PNG graphic for simplicity, but you can just go up to File and save as, and save this as an Adobe Illustrator document and upload that directly to your Spreadshop as well. And another option would be to do an SVG graphic, like I said, and that's going to be another vector-based file that you can upload directly to your Spreadshop. And both of those do support transparency, so you should be good on both of those file types as well. And the final file type, let me show you guys that real quick. Which is the CDR, is a CorelDRAW program, which is another vector-based program that you can save that directly in that native format as well and upload, and that supports transparency as well. But it all circles back, like I said, the simplistic answer that I give most people is simply upload your design as a PNG graphic, and you're pretty much good in every case scenario. And that'll be perfect as long as you're uploading it on a transparent background, like I said, at 4,000 pixels at 300 dpi. And you'll be good to go. If you don't have access to the Adobe Suite, there's free programs that you can check your designs into. For pixel-based programs, you can do a program called GIMP. GIMP is completely free, and you can download that, and it's very much like Photoshop, and you can do the same things. You can check the resolution of your design. You can optimize it within that program. Ultimately, though, if the pixel graphics resolution is too low and it's too grainy, you most likely are going to need to recreate the design from scratch to get your design up to spec for a t-shirt. So whereas a vector-based design, a vector can be pretty much any size because it's not based on pixels. So it can be as small as a penny, as large as a billboard, and it'll keep the same quality. So that's why a lot of people like working in vector-based programs, because they don't have to worry about maintaining any specific spec for the design, because they can simply change the specs as needed for whatever they're exporting their design for. So if it's for print, if it's for online, whatever they need to do, they can do that right through Illustrator without having to worry about losing any quality. Whereas Photoshop, you usually want to always work from the largest file size you can down to the smallest, because anything small back up to large, you're going to be losing quality. But if you are looking to use any other type of vector programs as well, there's also a free vector program you can download called Inkscape. That one is also completely free, and you can do the same thing as you can in Illustrator as well. So either one of those programs, GIMP or Inkscape, are perfect for you getting started and checking and reviewing your designs before you upload those to Spreadshop. But like I said, guys, if you have any questions to add, feel free to add them in the comments, and I'll try to jump in afterwards over the next few days to try to jump in and answer any of your questions you may have about designs that you're uploading to our platform as well. But thanks again for joining me again today, guys, and hopefully that helped at least a little bit get you on the right track. If not, I'll go ahead and try to help you guys out further here in a future video, and hopefully that'll help you out as well. So thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you again next time. And like I said, check this video out to follow up with any other questions you might have under our live tab in our YouTube channel. All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.